Hello, everybody. My name's Bruce Montgomery, and this is my colleague, Tracy Priest.
Hello, everybody.
And we're with the Road to Retail. Here, Tracy and I hope to offer tips, ideas, and examples of how small, emerging challenger brands in the CPG industry can build their business. Everything from determining if you're ready to grow, where to start, proving it online, how to pick a retailer, how to get those meetings, and how to get your business really rolling. The bottom line is we would love to help you be successful by highlighting the many important aspects along this journey to retail success. And Tracy and I have been in the business a long time and made our share of mistakes. And if we can save you some of those mistakes and give you the tips to be successful, this is time well spent. Tracy?
Yeah, so Bruce and I have been in consumer packaged goods, commercial operations for 30 years. And what do we mean by commercial operations? What we mean by that is sales, marketing, trade marketing, divestitures, distributor management, broker management, helping with getting agencies, marketing agencies. And those are just a few of the things that we've had experience in. So in our episodes, feature episodes coming very soon to you, we're going to be interviewing some colleagues, friends, industry experts that are going to share with you their experiences in all kinds of different topics, from founders to former buyers to experts in raising funds. So all kinds of great people coming your way that I think you're really going to be excited about. So Bruce, tell us about what we're going to do today. I think we're going to change it up a little bit, aren't we?
Yes, we are. We don't want the show to become stale. So this week, we're going to talk about Expo West. Expo West is a huge show for those of you that haven't been there before. Tracy is a veteran of it. I've been fortunate to go to it 3 times. The amount of people and action and just energy in those buildings is unbelievable. So as COVID hopefully continues to lift and get into our rearview mirror, a lot of these meetings are starting to come back in person. There were some meetings in the OTC HBA industry in Florida this week, and Expo West took place last week. So we're going to talk to Tracy about what he saw and what he's thinking about it, and go from there. So Trace, overall, you've been to the show many, many times. How was the vibe? Completely back to normal, on its way? So why don't you tell us a little about that, and then give us a little bit even before of kind of what the show is for folks that might not be familiar with it.
Sure. So this is really the Super Bowl, Bruce, of the natural products industry. Natural Products Expo every year, the first week of March in Anaheim, California at the Anaheim Convention Center. So if you've got a small emerging brand, or even if you are a brand that's been around for a while, Natural Products Expo is definitely one of the biggest shows in the industry. So the vibe, I got to tell you, Bruce, was just high energy. Everybody was so excited to get back together in person and to see everybody's smiling face. I was able to see a lot of old friends and colleagues and brands that I'd worked on in the past. So people were just so jazzed and energized to get back together in person. So this was the first time that the show has happened since 2019. So there was just a lot of pent-up energy to get back to being in person and interacting with friends, colleagues, and also retail buyers.
So Tracy, again, for those that aren't necessarily fully familiar and have experienced the show, is the purpose of the show for small brands to find buyers, to find suppliers, to find investors? If I have a gluten-free chocolate chip cookie company and I attend Expo West, why am I attending? What am I hoping to get out of it?
So it's not, that's a great question, Bruce. So it's not a selling show. So if you think you're going to go there and take orders, you're going to be disappointed. So it really is to showcase your brand, to build awareness of your brand. And like you said, Bruce, yes, there are some buyers there. We did meet with some buyers, not as many as we would have liked to. A lot of buyers did decide, not a lot, but some decided to sit out this year for whatever various reasons. But it is a place where you can meet investors, you can meet distributors, you can interact with other brands. So just a whole host of people within the industry. So a large variety of folks. So it's a financial investment. It's not a cheap investment, but it's definitely well worth it to build brand awareness. And you never know, who will come by, whether that might be a Target broker or Target buyer or Safeway Albertsons buyer. You just never know, who's going to come by your booth.
So one other question before we start getting into the details and without naming names, so maybe talk about the types of topics. I know that at the years I've attended, there have been some really great either keynote speakers or breakout sessions. I don't know if your schedule allowed you to attend any of those, but tell the group, what types of topics are covered in these big breakouts.
So New Hope is the organization that puts on the convention, and they do just a fabulous job. So starting on Tuesday, they do have keynote speakers, and then they have different breakouts on different topics from sustainability. They do a pitch slam on Wednesday and Thursday. So they have just a large variety. Then retailers also have breakout sessions. So as an example, Whole Foods will hold what they call a town hall meeting, which they did this year. I know that other small retailers also had some breakout meetings where they talked about their 2022 marketing plans. And then most of the major brokers in the industry also have rooms within the convention where you can have meetings with specific brands, or they have buyers come into the room as well. So there's just a whole host of great events. The big one, I think, for a lot of people was Jennifer Gardner was one of the speakers, and she came and spoke about sustainability and the importance of food in our industry.
And Capital One credit cards. I'm sure she got that in there.
No, she didn't, but I didn't get to attend, but I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, so one more second on because you said a buzzword that I'm sure a lot of people are interested in. So give us just a super top line, even if you didn't attend, but what might have been covered at like the Whole Foods town hall? That's obviously a big elephant that, lots of small brands are like, man, if I could get into Whole Foods. So what kinds of things would they talk about?
So specifically, they talked about launching, and this is great for small emerging brands. They are launching this year an incubator program. And I believe that you can sign up for this through April 8th. And it's basically that they will mentor you for a year and help you get, it's not a guarantee you're going to get distribution at Whole Foods, but they'll walk you through all the things you need to do to get ready. So that was one of the hot topics, was their new incubator program for small and emerging brands.
Hey, Tracy, are the attendees at this meeting, are they largely domestic brands and companies? Is there an international flavor, or is that a whole different meeting?
Yeah, that's whole. No, in the past, and that's a great segue, there's been a lot of international brands, but because of COVID, they limited the international brands. So the show was a little bit smaller this year. In 2019, there were 3,800, almost 4,000 booths. This year, because of a low count of international brands, there was about 3,000 booths. So think about that. This show is massive. It is the whole Anaheim Convention Center. And 3 years ago, they built another hall called the North Hall, and that's where the new products hall is. That hall is open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then the major hall opens Thursday and then ends on Saturday afternoon. So they've started to stagger the times and the availability of the halls. Then on top of that, there are also booths in the Marriott. There's booths in the Hilton. And then on Wednesday, there's an organic food tent that's open just for that day. So this show is massive. And that's why it's very difficult sometimes to meet with buyers, because the show is just so massive. You can't even walk it within a day anymore. You really need probably 2.5 days to really see the whole show.
Interesting. So as we move a little more into the kind of tactical things that people might be interested here about the show, when we did our interviews with the roughly 12 buyers from the large retailers about a year ago, one of the things that always came up in terms of not a me too, don't need a cut and paste brand, blah, blah, blah. What's your meaningful point of difference? With that in mind, what was your take on the level of innovation you saw? Was it off the charts? Was it a little tepid, maybe because R&D budgets were tamped down during COVID? What did you see?
Yeah, it was a little light, I think, on innovation. I just didn't see that much. And I think it's because of COVID. People have been focused. And we've talked about this a little bit, Bruce, supply chain, supply chain, supply chain. So brands and buyers, retail buyers, have been really focused on making sure that they can get product and they can have product on the shelf. So I thought that the innovation was a little light. But what I did see, I'll share with our audience, is a lot of water brands. So water with alkaline, H2O water, water infused with CBD. So a lot of water brands. Also, I still saw a lot of CBD. So for our audience, CBD is not dead. It's still alive, still kicking. There was still a lot of CBD brands. And then a lot of plant-based products. So let's see, I tried plant-based bacon, still a lot of plant-based chicken, a lot of burgers.
Plant-based bacon, hang on, that's got to be illegal.
No, it was good.
I mean, this is the country that brought you the Baconator. We have plant-based bacon.
Yep, plant-based bacon. And the one that I did try was also a plant-based deviled egg. So it's a plant-based egg, and it tastes
good for them, man. Good for them.
So there was some cool innovation there, but it was still very, very limited. Still a lot of small emerging challenger brands. You know, some of the major brands are still there. You know, they have the big mammoth booths, but for the most part, it is the 10 by 10, 10 by 20 booths that are attending the this year.
Sorry, Trey. So the show is really famous for food, but what I always found interesting is, you know, there was also when I was there was a lot of skincare, some natural remedies, household cleaners, beverage, not water. I know you just told us about that. What else were you seeing? Were those kind of about normal, a little higher than you expected?
Normal. So those were in the main hall. They have a whole section of one whole floor that's just huge of you know, cosmetics and healthcare and beauty care. There's also service providers. So you have people who do contract manufacturing. You have people that do that sell machinery. So it's a wide variety of folks there. If you're looking for something, Expo West is the place to go, whether you're looking for new machinery or someone to make packaging for you. And then there's also a lot of, as I said, service providers that don't have booths, but are just walking around. I saw a lot of people selling, you know, marketing services, a lot of people selling e-commerce, especially, hey, can I help you with your, you know, are you on Amazon? Can I help you with your Amazon listing and maximize your sales on Amazon? So there was a lot of that as well, but those do not have booths.
Sorry. So what did you see in terms of trends? Did you see anything that was either like so unusual, you're like, dang, or things that were in the quote unquote hot space right now? What did you see?
Yeah, so still a lot of innovation in plant-based, as I mentioned. So frozen foods was huge. I call it the frozen foods of the future. A couple brands I saw, Feel Good Foods was one that I know real well. There was another brand called No Bull Burger. So again, still in that food sector, really looking at a lot of plant-based products. And I've also, since I came back from the show, I've been reading some articles about some of these products aren't actually plant-based. So even though they're claiming that, because it's not regulated, you can pretty much make some claims that you can't substantiate. So something to watch out for our viewers as well.
Right. What else did you see out there? Anything about, you know, all the trend toward, you know, green and reusable, recyclable, eco-friendly?
Yeah, a lot of people doing sustainable products. A lot of people doing, you know, in their packaging. So I saw actually some plant-based packaging products. So a lot of that stuff was very prevalent within the show.
Anything in the quasi, nutraceutical, functional food, truly with a deep, heavy health angle?
Yeah, so a couple brands that came to mind. Belly Brain was one that I really liked. Honey Mamas was one as well. That's a chocolate brand that came out with a cake product as well that was really, really good. And then Brune Kitchen was another one that I saw that kind of stood out. So one of the things that I did see, there's a wide variety, Bruce, of different size booths. So you've got your, small mom and pop brand, regional, that's got a 10 by 10 booth. And then you go all the way to, bigger, much bigger booths with much bigger brands. But there was I saw a lot of interesting marketing brands that were doing some really cool, booths that really grabbed my attention. So I did see not as much innovation, but a lot of creativity in booth design and things like that were pretty impressive.
Interesting. So kind of, Trace, going into what I have, I think, as my last question, if a client brand came to you and they're either direct to consumer online only, or they've graduated from, say, the farmer's market, and they might be in a very small regional retailer or something, and they said to you, Tracy, we really want to go to Expo West next year, and let's assume they're giving you plenty of lead time here.
Yeah.
What counsel would you give them? Like, what's the best way to even think about getting involved in a show like this, in terms of like, who would you contact? And then also, what expectations should you really have going into this show for the first time?
Right. So I think it depends on the size of the brand and your budget. So I think if I was going to make a recommendation, Bruce, if you're going to do a show, this is the one to do. This is, like I said in the opening, this is the Super Bowl of the natural products industry. There's other shows. You've got your distributor shows. I did attend a couple weeks ago, the Unify Orlando show. There's a KeHE show coming up in Chicago in June. We've got a Sweet and Snacks show coming up the end of May. So there is a lot of shows that you can attend. This is not a cheap endeavor. I don't know exactly what a booth costs, but I would say somewhere between $10,000 to $12,000. Plus you've got travel. So it's not a cheap endeavor, but if you've got some traction online, if you've got some traction in some retail, and you've got a small budget, then I think that Expo West is the show. And again, for building your brand and for building your brand awareness, if you're looking to sell product or take orders, this is not the show for you. If you want to do that, then I would look at directing your budget towards, one of the distributor show, or something that's more of a selling show, which are mostly the distributor show. So that's really the counsel that I would give the small emerging brands. It's not a cheap endeavor, but you get a lot of eyeballs. There were about somewhere between 50 and 60,000 people there over the 4-day show, compared to in 2019, there was, I think, somewhere between 80 and 90,000. So I think one of the things I wanted to share is this year's show was more quality than quantity. So in 2019, the show was so big, so busy, that you were just shoulder to shoulder with people. You couldn't even walk in the aisles. This year was much more relaxed. It was not as many people. So you had more quality time when somebody did come to a booth to talk to them, where in years past, as I mentioned, 2019, you had to wait in line, or you were 3 people deep waiting to talk to a brand. So I think that's the way that the show is going to continue to go. I think that it'll be a smaller crowd, still a lot of booths, a lot of ground to cover, but well worth it.
Great. Hey, Tracy, last question before we go into the big finish. If someone watching today wanted to learn more about this show, aside from, possibly reaching out to us, where would you steer them to learn more?
Yeah, so the company marketing company that puts it on is called New Hope, and they have virtual events during the year as well. That's what they did during COVID. They're going to continue that, like a lot of other folks who do put on shows. But New Hope is the folks that put it on. You can go to newhope.com and look at the information for next year's show. I will tell you that if you were an exhibitor this year, you had the opportunity then to meet with New Hope and pick your booth for next year as well. So if you are even thinking about going in 2023, believe it or not, I would get on it now because it does sell out. I will also add that there were some people that did not go. We had there was not very many, but a couple booths that were empty because the people at the last minute decided, not to go for various reasons. So there were some, empty booths, and I saw one that said, "Sorry, we missed you this year, but we'll see you in 2023." So I thought that was kind of an innovative way to say, "We'll see you next year."
Yeah. And then one other thing, Tracy, the people that might be aware, they do have an Expo East. So
Yes, that is in Philadelphia this year, and it is the end of September, I believe, like the September 23rd to the 25th. That is a much smaller show on the East Coast. But if you're an East Coast brand, then I would definitely recommend that. So there were a lot of West Coast brands there. There were a lot of West Coast retailers there. Not as many on the East Coast, but there were some. But for the Philadelphia show, it's definitely for more East Coast retailers and East Coast based brands.
all right. Well, Tracy, thank you for that recap. We're into the big finish, baby. Ball is yours.
Absolutely. So thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you found our episode helpful, and please reach out to us for any kind of questions on Road to Retail on LinkedIn, or also Road to Retail on our YouTube page. You can watch all of our past episodes, and we've got some exciting episodes coming up in the near future that I think you're going to really like. We're going to start having guests on the show, former buyers, like I mentioned, and some other industry folks that are friends of ours and colleagues that we've worked with in the past. And I really think that you're going to enjoy those episodes. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Good luck out there.